That $300 cologne in your bathroom? It doesn't smell like it used to. You're not crazy. You weren't imagining it. The fragrance you fell in love with 3 years ago has been quietly replaced, same bottle, same name, same price tag, with a watered-down version designed to cost the brand less and earn them more. You bought it again last year, and the year before. Each time, slightly weaker. Each time, slightly thinner. And the brand never told you. Today we're exposing 3 famous fragrances that got secretly reformulated and 3 that haven't been touched that still actually deliver what you paid for. The brand at number 1 might be the most cynical reformulation in modern fragrance history, and it's still selling for $330. Let's get into it. Before we name fragrances, you need to understand the loophole that lets the entire industry change what's in your bottle without saying a single word. In the United States, fragrance is a legally protected trade secret. The FDA only requires brands to print one word on the label: fragrance or parfum. Behind that single word, hundreds of chemical compounds can be hidden. The exact formula is protected. The exact concentration is protected. And when the formula changes, no one is required to announce it. This is how reformulation works. A brand quietly swaps an expensive aromatic compound for a cheaper synthetic version, or reduces the concentration of a key ingredient, or replaces a discontinued raw material with a substitute that smells almost identical but performs noticeably worse. The bottle on the shelf still says fragrance. The customer assumes the formula hasn't changed. Months later, they're wearing something different and don't know why. Reformulation usually happens for 3 reasons. New IFRA regulations restrict certain ingredients, raw materials get more expensive, or the brand simply decides to cut costs and bets you won't notice. Most of the time, you don't notice immediately. You notice 6 months later when the fragrance fades faster on skin, or 12 months later when the dry down smells different, or never, you just assume your nose changed, the weather affected it, or you're imagining it. You weren't imagining it. The fragrance changed. You didn't. Now let's name the brands quietly robbing you. Original launch year 2007. Death year 2020. Tobacco Vanille was the fragrance that defined Tom Ford's private blend line. Rich tobacco, vanilla, spice, dried fruit. Heavy, opulent, instantly recognizable. The fragrance built the entire luxury niche fragrance market and inspired hundreds of dupes. If you bought Tobacco Vanille between 2007 and 2019, you were wearing the version that built the legend. The opening was rich and dense. The dry down lasted 10 to 12 hours on skin and got better as it warmed. The fragrance had weight, that heavy, syrupy, opulent character you could smell across a room. Then in 2020, things changed. Estee Lauder companies acquired the Tom Ford brand in stages, and cost-cutting on the private blend line started immediately. By 2020, longtime users began reporting that new bottles felt thinner, the opening less rich, the dry down less complex. Performance dropped from 10 to 12 hours down to 6 to 8 hours on skin. By 2022, the reformulation was confirmed across every major fragrance review platform. Post-2020 bottles are missing the depth and weight that defined the original. The signature tobacco accord is still there, but lighter, cleaner, more synthetic. The molasses-like richness in the dry down has been reduced to a fraction of its original strength. Current retail price for Tobacco Vanille is $300 for a 50 ml bottle. The fragrance inside is a competent imitation of the original, but it's no longer the bottle that justified the premium. Here's the part that makes this worse. The dupe market for original Tobacco Vanille is enormous. Brands like Mancera, Montal, and dozens of niche houses produce $40 to $80 fragrances that smell closer to pre-2020 Tobacco Vanille than the current $300 Tom Ford bottle does. You can buy a $50 bottle today that performs better than the $300 bottle on the shelf at Sephora. You're paying $300 for the worst version of a fragrance you can buy a better dupe of for $50. And the brand collected your money 3 years in a row, betting you'd never figure it out. Original launch year, 2015. First reformulation, 2018. Second reformulation, 2021. Sauvage is the best-selling men's fragrance on the planet, worn by millions, fronted by Johnny Depp, propped up by Dior's massive luxury marketing budget. The original 2015 launch was polarizing in fragrance circles, but a massive commercial hit. Bright, ambroxan-heavy, distinctive. Then it got reformulated quietly in 2018. Then reformulated again in 2021. Each version slightly weaker, slightly thinner, slightly more synthetic than the last. The current bottle on the shelf is the third version of Sauvage, and it's the weakest of the three. The reformulations are documented across every major fragrance forum by users who've owned every version. Pre-2018 batches were stronger and held longer. The 2018 to 2021 batches were noticeably softer. Post-2021 batches are weaker than both. Performance has dropped from 8 to 10 hours of projection in the original to 4 to 6 hours in the current version. You sprayed Sauvage today. 2 hours later, it was almost gone. You assumed your skin chemistry was off. You assumed the weather affected it. You bought a fresh bottle thinking the old one had degraded. It wasn't your skin. It wasn't the weather. The bottle changed. Sauvage is still the best-selling men's fragrance in the world. Most buyers have no idea they're wearing the discount version of what made the brand famous. They smell it on someone else, recognize the name, buy it, and assume they're getting the real thing. A bottle of Sauvage now costs $110 to $170. The price has gone up over the years. The fragrance has gone down. The brand never announced any of the changes. That's the entire pitch. Same bottle, same name, higher price, less performance, pure margin extraction. Original launch year 2015, death year 2022. Current retail price $330 to $540. This is the most cynical reformulation in modern fragrance history. Baccarat Rouge 540 was the fragrance phenomenon of the late 2010s. Warm, ambery, slightly metallic, totally unlike anything else on the market. It became the most discussed fragrance of the decade. Celebrities wore it. Influencers called it the Holy Grail. The bottle alone became an Instagram status symbol. If you bought Baccarat Rouge between 2015 and 2021, you were wearing the version that built the cult. Projection lasted 10 to 12 hours on skin. The opening was rich and unique. The signature metallic warmth in the dry down was unforgettable. Then in 2022, Maison Francis Kurkdjian was acquired fully by LVMH. Within months, the fragrance changed. The community started documenting the reformulation immediately. What used to project for 10 to 12 hours was now lasting 4 to 6. The opening felt thinner. The signature metallic character in the dry down was reduced. The unique soul that made Baccarat Rouge unforgettable was softened into something more generic. By 2023, the conversation was settled. Pre-2022 Baccarat Rouge and post-2022 Baccarat Rouge are different fragrances. Same bottle, same name, same $330 to $540 price tag, different soul. Here's the part that should make you genuinely angry. The dupe market for Baccarat Rouge is massive. Dozens of brands sell clones at $30 to $50. And when fragrance reviewers blind test those $35 dupes against the current reformulated original, they cannot reliably tell which is which. You're paying $330 for a bottle that smells almost identical to a $35 clone. The version that justified the price tag stopped existing in 2022. The brand counted on you not noticing. Maison Francis Kurkdjian is owned by LVMH, which reported record revenues every year, while the bottle you're paying $330 for quietly became something different from the one that built its reputation. You're not buying the legend. You're buying the version of the legend that still has the legend's price tag, and a $35 dupe that smells just as good is sitting on Amazon right now. 3 fragrances, 3 quiet betrayals. 1 shared truth. The label lies. The formula doesn't. But 3 brands haven't touched their formulas, and they're still delivering exactly what they promised. Let me tell you which ones. Original launch year 2006. Reformulation status, virtually unchanged for 20 years. This is the bottle that quietly embarrasses the entire premium fragrance market. Encre Noir was created by perfumer Nathalie Lorson and launched in 2006. It takes vetiver, an earthy, smoky, almost bitter root oil, and pushes it to its absolute maximum. The result is dark, woody, mysterious, and long-lasting. It performs on skin the way a $200 fragrance is supposed to perform. The fragrance community has known about this bottle for nearly 20 years, and it remains one of the most consistently recommended blind buys on every forum, every Reddit thread, every beginner's guide to building a collection. The reason is simple: the formula has barely changed since 2006. What you buy today is what you would have bought in 2010, in 2015, in 2020. The bottle isn't beautiful. The brand has no celebrity campaigns. There's no influencer marketing budget pushing it on TikTok. And the juice doesn't need any of those things. At $35, it's simply a great fragrance, and the conversation ends there. This is what a fragrance looks like when the brand isn't trying to extract margin from its customers. They made it good, they kept it good, and they priced it honestly for 2 decades. No reformulation, no price inflation, no betrayal. Original launch year 2006. Reformulation status, minimal, faithful to the original. Hermes could easily charge what Tom Ford charges. The fact that they don't says something worth paying attention to. Terre de Hermes was created by Jean-Claude Elena in 2006 and is built around a genuinely original concept: the tension between earth and sky, expressed through flint mineral notes, orange zest, and cedar. The result is intellectual without being cold, distinctive without being difficult, and expensive without announcing itself. Elena spent 14 years as Hermes exclusive in-house perfumer. Terre de Hermes is the work of a perfumer who was given real creative latitude, not a commercial brief and a demographic spreadsheet. The fragrance was made to be art, not optimized for mass appeal. The current bottle smells like the original. The performance is consistent. The brand has resisted the reformulation cost-cutting that gutted nearly every competitor at this price tier. At $100 to $130, Terre de Hermes is priced with restraint that the brand name does not require. This is the exception that proves the rule. A luxury house that decided the product itself was the point, and 19 years later, they're still delivering it. Retail price, $40 to $55. Performance, equal to or better than fragrances 10 times the price. This is the bottle that genuinely embarrasses the entire premium fragrance industry. Club de Nuit Intense Man is an unambiguous clone of Creed Aventus, the same pineapple, birch smoke, ambergris, and musk accord that Creed sells for $350 to $475. The similarity in performance has been documented exhaustively across every major fragrance platform, and the conclusion is consistent: 55 versus 350. Projection that fills a room. Longevity that carries into the next morning. And while Creed has been quietly reformulating Aventus for years, with batch variation problems that mean different bottles smell different even within the same year, Armaf has kept Club de Nuit Intense Man consistent. Every bottle smells the same. Every batch performs the same. The formula is locked. If you've ever stood at a counter holding a $350 bottle of Aventus and wondered whether you could justify it, the answer has been sitting in the Armoff display the entire time, waiting for you to stop paying for brand equity you never actually agreed to purchase. The Aventus you remember from 2015 doesn't exist anymore at Creed, but it does exist in a $55 Armoff bottle that hasn't been touched. Same scent, different brand, different price, same delivery. That's not a compromise. That's the same experience without the betrayal. 6 fragrances. 3 different prices. 1 shared truth. 3 brands quietly changed their formulas, kept their prices, and bet you wouldn't notice. 3 brands kept their formulas, priced fairly, and let the product do the talking. Same shelves at Sephora. Same bottles in your bathroom. Opposite outcomes for your nose, your wallet, and your trust. Tom Ford. Dior. Maison Francis Kurkdjian. All 3 banked record revenues while quietly downgrading the fragrances that built their reputations. And they're not done. The next reformulation is already happening, and the next, and the next. Lalique, Hermes, Armoff. None of these brands run massive ad campaigns. None of them flood your Instagram with sponsored posts. They just made fragrances and kept making them, same formula, year after year, and the people who know fragrance keep buying them. 3 checks before you spend $1 on any fragrance. 1. Check the batch code. Every fragrance bottle has a small code printed near the base. Use a free site like CheckFresh or Check Cosmetic to enter the code and see when the bottle was produced. If a fragrance has reformulated in recent years, look for older batches. 2. Read recent reviews. Search the fragrance name plus reformulation on Reddit's r/fragrance or Fragrantica. If a reformulation has happened, the community has already mapped it. 3. Compare secondary market price to retail. If vintage batches sell for double the current retail price, the original version was significantly better. The market is telling you exactly what was lost. 60 seconds of research, hundreds of dollars saved. And the difference between wearing the legend and wearing the discount version of the legend. The fragrance industry has spent decades teaching customers to trust the bottle. Don't. If a fragrance you love feels weaker than it used to, you weren't imagining it. The bottle changed. The brand never told you. And the price kept climbing. You don't have to play this game. You can buy fragrances that haven't been touched, from brands that don't reformulate to protect margins, at prices that reflect what's actually inside the bottle. The label lies. The formula doesn't. And once you know what to look for, you can't be fooled again. If this changed how you look at fragrance, subscribe. We're tracking the slow death of every brand in the wardrobe, when they peaked, when they sold out, and which ones still actually deliver on what they used to be. Drop a comment with the fragrance you think quietly died. I read every one. Next video, we're going deeper. The watches losing 90% of their value the second you walk out of the store, and the ones quietly making their owners money. You won't want to miss it.